New at 4, fist fights, underage boozing, and even shootouts. New Haven city leaders say so-called all-age parties at nightclubs, also known as juice bars, attract all sorts of problems.
It's been a big problem, and now a new state law could severely limit these kinds of events. Matt McFarland is your reporter covering New Haven County, and he is in downtown New Haven with all the details. I know a lot of parents have been concerned about this, Matt.
Hi there, Kara and Roger. You know, the Elm City really pushed for these new regulations and restrictions. They say on certain weekends you'd see thousands of teenagers downtown heading to clubs like these over here on Crown Street. And, you know, the city says these new regulations will give them more teeth to continue to crack down.
A lot of my friends have been to those clubs.
Jason here says he understands the appeal of popular all-ages parties, drawing thousands of teens to the Elm City on certain weekends.
They have a lot of fun there. There's not a lot of stuff going on in Connecticut, so this is what they got.
But the days of those all-ages events could be limited, or at least severely restricted. A new state law will allow cities and towns to prohibit or even set the hours of operation of these under 21 parties. It would also authorize cities to prohibit alcohol sales at those clubs, even for those 21 and over, when it's hosting an all-ages event or when a juice bar is operating. The city previously singling out night spots like Gotham City, Secrets, and Ramage, which announced it's closing after this weekend.
As folks know, we've faced a lot of challenges.
That includes shootings, like back on Halloween when 18-year-old Alexa Acevedo and a friend were caught in the crossfire. Innocent bystanders, Alexa died from her injuries, with police later arresting a 17-year-old for her murder.
Particularly those 18 to 21-year-old parties downtown, and this will give us a lot of additional tools to help ensure that people can have fun, but they can do it in a really safe way and not a way that's detrimental to our city.
And the new regulations not just restricting the hours of operations, but also the size of those parties as well. Well, that part of the story coming up tonight at 5 o'clock. Your reporter live in New Haven, Matt McFarland, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.